But yeah, so welcome.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here on your podcast. I'm excited.
Yeah, we kind of when was the last time? I know we saw each other at Castles and Coasters. That's when I finally got your number after knowing you for like 10 years. But then when did we last see each other? Because you went on a mission, right? And I was on a mission, and then obviously we knew each other in high school, kind of. I mean, you were a little bit younger than me, but
yeah,
you know, I knew Dustin. So, but when did we kind of like reconnect? I don't even remember exactly.
I remember, I think it was at like one of the YSA events at the Interstate Center. We were playing volleyball or something, and I saw you and Dallin.
Oh, that's right.
And then we were like hanging out. I was like, "What's up, brother?" Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's what I remember. I think it was maybe the Hawaiian one. I don't know.
Oh, the luau.
The luau, yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah. The luau. Freak. That was crazy.
That was fun. That was a good time.
I don't know why they did that. Normally they do it outside, like the past few years, and then they did it inside this time, which was
who knows?
Is okay, but like I thought it was better outside.
I thought the food was great. Then I'd never gone before, so it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, the food was good. It was hard. I feel like the dancing stuff, like the performances by the fire dancers, I guess they didn't do fire dancing, but they did just like Polynesian dancing, right?
Yeah.
I think in the past they did that. It was outside, so I feel like it was a little bit better when it was outside because it just felt like a little. Because it was also awkward, all of us like on those bleachers. I don't know. It's just like the vibe was different than previous years. But so whoever plans that event, put it outside next time. Okay, go back to the way it was. But yeah, that's where we met. So you're dating someone now.
I am dating somebody.
Yeah, what's good with that?
It's going good. It's going great. Yeah, we've been dating for 2 months now, and it's really kind of weird. I feel like it's changed my life in a lot of ways. I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of them tell me, like, oh, I'm waiting to get in a relationship till I'm done with school or till I make a lot of money and different things like that. And for some reason, it's been kind of weird, but once I got in my relationship, I feel like it's motivated me a lot more to actually like work hard and try. Because I've really tried before, but for some reason, I don't know why, it's like
more real.
It's more real. And actually, I guess it's like I was trying for the past year after my mission to work hard and to, really get stuff down. But now that I'm dating, like, bro, I really gotta, like...
like, I got a woman to impress.
Not even that, just, like, thinking that one day, like, maybe I have to, like, provide and stuff and just realizing that stuff.
So do you see this, like, is it getting pretty serious? I mean, 2 months in the church, that's like,
oh my goodness.
That's like literally 2 years. I'm just kidding.
It's going great right now. So,
where'd you guys meet?
We met at the YSA ward there after church. I saw her and I was like, gotta talk to that girl. And then we started hanging out, and we went longboarding at the temple for our first time, and it was great. Oh,
you went longboarding at the temple? That's right.
It was awesome. Bro. Yeah. Hey. It was good.
He's all like, yeah.
It's a good place.
Hit a few jumps, talk about the Spirit.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Was she at General Conference with you?
Yeah, we went to General Conference together.
That's who you had your arm around.
Yeah, that's who
I was like sitting a couple rows above, and I was like...
No.
Yeah, it's different. Put her on blast.
No, I think at a General Conference because she'd never gone. So
she'd never gone to General Conference?
So it was her first time going, and it was really fun.
Not the first time she's watched it, right?
Of course not. No.
She's like, what's General Conference?
Some good. Yeah, how about you, Matt? Any ladies you want to bring up in front of the show, or you just you don't want to mention them so they get jealous, or they
they'll never come on. No, I shouldn't have told you you're allowed to ask questions. Just kidding. No, not really. I mean, I've been going out quite a bit with different girls, and it's been good. I've been traveling a lot too. Like, I've been up in Utah and Idaho, probably like, Kel, what would you say, like
all the time?
Yeah, like it was like. This is probably the longest I've been home for a bit, but I'd be like every other week. Like, I'd fly up, I'd be there for maybe a week and a half, and then I'd be back here for like a week, and then I'd be back up there. So, and that was going on for like June, July, August, September. So, like, I was literally, like, one girl I was going out with, I feel like I'd be horrible to date, actually, right now, because I'm, like, always busy and stuff, and I think most girls are like, man, he never texts me back. He's so slow to respond. And there's a reason for that, okay? There's a reason. The biggest reason, and no one believes me, but my phone number is literally the like phone number for the service missionary training center that I run, and that's a worldwide program. So I get like calls and texts like all the time from like Georgia and Florida and France and Germany and like Georgia, Florida. Sorry, you're like wow. But just like I'll get like all these messages, especially at like the beginning and end of months because that's when our classes start. So. Like if you're trying to go out with me and you shot me a text, you may just be buried in like 100 texts. Okay, I'm not trying to dodge you. I just didn't. Yeah, you got to FaceTime me. That's the only way.
To all the girls in France, you know how to contact him. Just contact the service missionary.
My phone number is my email. Just email me. That's the new thing. Don't text. Don't call. Email me. I'll get to you faster.
My goodness.
But, yeah, so no one's serious per se, just kind of going out and dating and stuff.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, this has been my first like official. We called like where we called it each other like boyfriend girlfriend.
Oh, you put a label on it?
Yeah, she's my girlfriend, and it's been going really good. It's been I think it's been healthy in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of weird though, because she's really busy too.
Yeah.
But then when she's doing stuff, I'm just kind of like, and I'm not busy. I'm like, well, I guess.
You're like,
I
babe,
can't, I'm like normally like texting a bunch of people, but I'm like, well, I'm not texting anybody right now, so I'll just like do my homework or like do something I should do. So it's been productive in that way that I feel like I don't have to be texting a bunch, like going out and playing a bunch of like fun stuff. I just play stuff with her, so it's easy.
Yeah, it's easy to get a little more focused.
Yeah,
more committed.
and it's easy because when I want to like go and do stuff, I just know who I'm going to do it with, and so I just start planning what I'm going to do instead of like who and like all these other stuff.
Dude, the planning that probably saves so much time.
It saves so much time. Yep.
Dude, there's nothing. Okay, not nothing worse, but dude, when you're trying to like put something together, and then you have to think about like, okay, who can I bring? And then you have to think about like, well, if I bring so and so,
you can't do this.
These people get invited, then they won't get along.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
all these dynamics you have to like think about. And then you're just like, forget it. We're not doing it.
Yeah.
So that's true. I didn't even think about that.
So, but it's been really good. She really makes me happy. And so that's been something that's been great. I love how strong she's in the gospel. She's a great example to me. And so,
what were kind of like the main criteria things that like you were maybe you were looking for, or maybe you weren't even looking for, but now you've seen it, you're like, okay, like I want that, and that's something I'm looking for. So,
it's kind of like I say, it's kind of silly or cliche. You could whatever. Yeah. But I remember when I saw her, it was like her spirit was so strong. I could feel like the spirit radiating from her, like from her, just because I could just, I don't know, it's kind of weird.
Like a good person.
And then I started talking to her, and I was like, wow, she's so strong in the gospel. My grandma, she told me, she was like, Dustin, you need to find a girl that will love God more than she'll love you, so she'll put him first. So like, even if you like want to do something bad, she'll be like, no, I want to do what's right.
Right.
And put God first. And so I just was like, really. She's a great example of that.
Yeah. That's a good,
so it's really
really
helpful.
Good one.
Yeah.
Have you guys had, because this is one thing I think people, because I think a lot of people are looking to find somebody, right, that they're kind of moving forward with.
I hope that most people are. They haven't given up.
No, we've all quit. No, I feel like honestly, it is when you finally like kind of just give up that's when someone like comes in your way. It's like when you're trying really hard. It's like the butterfly, right? When you're chasing the butterfly, you never can catch it, and then when you're just like, forget it, I'm done. Then it's like, all right, let's make this happen. But what are some things that in these relationships or in your relationship so far, like what type of conversations, discussions have you had to like help kind of figure out, okay, like she is really strong in the gospel, or she is going to be a good mother, or like she is a good person. Like, how do you guys address that? Does it just kind of come naturally, or is it something that you guys have like taken time to really emphasize? Because I think that's one hard thing. Sometimes it's hard to have serious conversations.
Yeah,
because it's like, oh, I
definitely.
Don't, you know what I'm saying? So like, what have you guys done that's worked for you guys?
So I'd say a lot of the times we've had these conversations naturally.
Yeah.
And it's been really great. One of the things I really appreciate about her is she's really good at always communicating stuff. So she'll be like, hey, like, this is what I've been thinking about. And so instead of just, like, let's say I do something that annoys her, she won't just, like, go and, like, tell her friends about it. She'll, like, talk to me about it first. So then, because sometimes people, they'll do something that, like, annoys the other person, then they don't know it annoys them.
Right.
And then the person go and tell, like, their mom, they'll tell their aunt. And then, like, by the time they get to telling you, they've already let all their frustration out. So you don't even feel like it was, like, even that bad of a thing because they already
Right. They're like,
they're
they
already
just
giving
vent
it all
it
up.
somewhere else.
Yeah, they already vented to have somebody else. Then when they talk to you about it, they just don't even have any emotion anymore. They're just like, so that's nice that she talks to me about it. Then I'm like, okay, and I know.
Well, then everyone that she knows too is like hates you low key because
exactly. Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're the guy.
Yeah. So that's been good for me. And so communicating, it's been a lot of these things been come up naturally. Just like different things, just saying like, oh, like let's go to like the temple, and she's like, yeah, I would love to. Or like she says it too, like, oh, let's go. Or just saying like, oh, maybe we should like like say a prayer before you go to
right.
There's different things.
Just finding ways to implement, like put it in.
Yeah, and it's been really great. And just talking to her too about some of her, her beliefs, like and her standards and stuff. And she's like, this is what's really important to me, and then just hearing her testimony from the way she lives. So,
okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think I don't know. Sometimes that's tricky because I know a lot of people. It's like, well, I like, this girl's really nice or this guy's really nice, but we just don't know how to like. Like I've had my folks ask me sometimes, they're like, they're like, oh, so you've gone out with this girl a few times. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, so what do you like, what does she think? What does she like? So I'm like, well, we haven't really had a chance to talk about it.
Yeah.
So it can sometimes be hard to have those conversations and get serious. But, if both parties are willing to communicate, especially, or one is like communicating, like you said, and like, hey, let's talk about this. And the other party's willing. Or both parties are willing, then it does make it seem like a little bit easier. Did she serve a mission too, or
she did serve a mission? She served in the Baltics, so that's like Latvia, Estonia. So that's where she served her mission.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And so, would you guys say, because you served in Guatemala, right?
I served in Guatemala, which is she served in a very cold part of the world. I served in very humid and hot and tropical.
Hey, opposites attract. So would you say like those experiences, like going out and serving and kind of being on your own a little bit, right? Obviously you have a lot of structure in the mission, but would you say that's helped a lot in this kind of next chapter?
I would definitely say so. I mean, I'm just going to say it honestly, you get some companions you don't like very much, and then when you're somebody that you really like, it's like, wow, it's so much better than what I would have experienced.
Yeah.
So just, I think, like, I would definitely say so, just learning how to communicate efficiently, if you don't tell them that you're struggling, sometimes they don't know, if you're like, listen, like, it was really hurtful when you said that to me, or it was really hurtful when you did that, like, obviously you gotta be loving and charitable and say it, and it's if you're struggling because they're doing something that's hurting you, and they don't know it's hurting you, then like helping them to change that, like, listen, like if you weren't sarcastic around me, that would really help me feel more loved, or just different stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then it'll help them show more love to you and help you feel more loved, and then you can show more love to them.
Right.
So I read I would say our mission. I'll get back to like. I'll talk more about my mission and how that's helped me. But I read a book with my brothers it's called The 5 Love Languages. It's pretty common in the church. It's by Gary Chapman.
Sure. And
that one's really helped me a lot because it talks a little bit about the psychology of falling in love.
Okay. And
so it's been helpful to learn how people feel loved. And one of the things it talks a lot about is how when you show somebody love, not everybody feels loved in the same way. And you need to show them loved how they feel loved,
Right.
Like for me, I work construction, so if somebody bought me a drill, I'd be like, that's awesome, I feel like really loved,
Yeah.
But if like somebody bought my mom a drill, she'd be like, I never use this, and she wouldn't feel very loved. You know what I mean?
She'd be like, you don't even know me.
Exactly. So I'd say just that is loving people how they want to be loved, like in a righteous way, obviously.
Right.
Then that will really help you with that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's true. I guess sometimes we do try to show our love in the way we think.
We feel loved.
Yeah. And then the person's like, that was nice, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's not how they like feel loved.
Yeah.
Per se. That's interesting. That's a really good point.
An experience of that on my mission is one of the things is for me is words of affirmation or like words are important to me.
Yeah.
And it's really important to my dad, so that's kind of where I get it from.
Sure.
So one time I wrote like a little like note to my companion, like, hey, like hope you're doing great, like love you, bro, like keep it up,
Yeah.
And then like I like left it for him, and then he like read it, and then like he's like, oh great, and then he like threw it away, and I was like, oh, like I guess it's not very important to him, which at the time I didn't know because I hadn't read the book. But
it's like in your face, like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and I was just like, I was like, oh. I'm glad. It's funny, but and like it's just because to him words wasn't how he felt loved,
right?
And so learning that afterwards, I understand more about why it was that way,
right?
But just kind of in the moment, it can seem really brutal and harsh,
you know. Sting.
You're like
at least do that when I can't see it.
Yeah, exactly. Like come on, elder. But
yeah.
I would just say different stuff like that. Learning to show love. On my mission, it helped a lot. Like I just shared, there's different experiences. Really. I would say a lot of life experiences too, just seeing how different people live, seeing different things. It was really...
Is Guatemala pretty, third world?
It's very third world, yeah.
Okay.
Everybody's dirt floors. You got plumbing, you got water running half the time. Most of the time you don't have any water. You just have, a basin that's filled with water. I would say the biggest thing I think that I took away from relationships on my mission was... It's kind of, hard to say, but I would say especially for those, the bros out there... It was sometimes homies. I'd see a lot of times where let's say one of the spouses would go inactive or wasn't a member. A lot of times when it was a sister, the sister would keep taking their kids to church and they'd keep going.
Right.
And if the dad went inactive, it would sometimes the kids would go, but a lot of times when the wife would go inactive, the entire family would go inactive, and the dad wouldn't keep taking the kids and stuff. And I don't know, so I'm just saying, brethren, make sure she loves the Lord.
Right.
And make sure you love the Lord too, so that she wants you, because if you don't, find somebody better, ladies. So what I'm saying is that just realizing that who you marry, it doesn't just affect you, it'll affect your kids too. And, if you don't marry somebody that is going to live the gospel, then... your kids probably will it'll be hard, it'll be hard to wake up every Sunday by yourself and get the kids ready, take them by yourself and do all the stuff, So,
yeah.
I would say just realizing that.
Well, it has a ripple effect, right? I mean, you can't, and there's certain things you don't have to agree on everything, right? You don't have to be completely unified on every single point of life, right? Because everybody's going to have a different kind of viewpoint of life. But on the big things, right, like the gospel or religious, even if you're not a member of our church, on religious beliefs, if you're not unified in some fashion on it, then it's going to be pretty tough because, even especially for kids, right, because they're looking for what direction do we go down. So if you're split, then the kids have to then make decisions that they're probably not ready to make at a really young age, and it becomes, difficult, right?
Yeah.
So that makes sense. What's in Guatemala, were people pretty what's kind of the culture there? Is it pretty accepting? Is it pretty loving? Is it pretty harsh and strict? And
so in Guatemala they're so loving.
Okay.
You go there. I remember one time we helped this lady carry something to her house, and then she just come in for dinner. She fed us food. They gave us some punch. They gave us all this. They're so loving. Everybody always says hi to each other. They'll everybody. You're oh, have a good afternoon. And they'd always say Dios lo bendiga and que le vaya bien, which is God bless you and travel safely.
Yeah.
And but everybody would say it, and then all these things. They're really.
Do they speak Spanish there?
They all speak Spanish.
Okay.
So in Guatemala there is I think 20 different dialects.
Oh, wow.
So native dialects. So all the little tribes there.
Yeah.
But they all speak. They're conquered by Spain, so then they all speak Spanish now.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of them still know some of their
roots.
In other words, in northern Guatemala, they only speak the native language.
What do they call it? Is it
so? There's Quechua is what they speak.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 2 sticks of the church actually that speak just that.
Oh wow.
So a lot of missionaries, they were in my mission because we weren't in that area. We're in the southern part.
Yeah.
And they were from the northern part where they only spoke their Quechua.
Right.
And then they were learning Spanish too,
Yeah.
So then everybody in the streets, sometimes the gringos would know the Spanish better than the Latino. And they'd be speaking to the Latino, the gringo responds, and they're no, I'm trying to, because the Latino should know, but the Latino wouldn't know the word.
Yeah.
Or something. So it's funny because the gringo would know it. If sometimes it just offended.
Just kind of mix up of, yeah.
Yeah, because the other person looked like a Latino because they were, but they just didn't speak. They didn't speak Spanish as it wasn't their first language.
Right.
So.
Huh. And what was kind of the, I don't know, every mission has hardships, right? Kind of the tough parts, and there's good parts too. But what was for you, what was really maybe one of the toughest parts of being in Guatemala, serving a mission there?
Man, it was just let me tell you, I remember my first day I got there, we went to our place and we slept, and us finally woke up and went to our mission. They sent us off, and I would just what planet did I land on? Like, where am I? Because just there is just so different. A lot of the things, I would say a lot of the hardships is probably poverty is a big thing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people, they struggle in a lot of ways. First example, there was a sister in my district I talked to, just because like that's the only experience that I really talked to me, like how much they made, and she said she made like $144 a month.
Oh wow.
And that's 60 hours a week.
Wow.
So yeah, she's making like $5 a day or something like that.
Yeah.
Which for there was just like normal.
Yeah, it was probably okay-ish money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so being like from here, I was like, wow, like most people make more than that in a day. Like
right,
then,
right. That's like.
But
yeah.
it was a lot of different things. They are very. A lot of people are very humble there. It was interesting because in this last general conference, one of the apostles, I don't remember which one, but basically they talked about how there are a lot of rich people that are more like they're humble. Like being humble isn't a matter of how much money you have in your wealth.
Right.
It's a matter of who you are. And there's a lot of poor people that are poor, but they're still really proud and prideful.
Sure.
And it was interesting to see because there was a lot of poor people that we would like. I don't want to say poor, but there's a lot of people that we talked to that they were kind of struggling.
Yeah,
just to make it financially.
Yeah.
And they were very poor and they were very humble and they really were so loving and they put God first. And there were other people that they were really poor and they were just super prideful. They were just like, yeah, they wouldn't. Mm-hmm. They still were very like proud about a lot of different things. It was interesting to see that.
Right. They were. It's almost like their situation in life. They allowed it to more harden them rather than.
Yeah. I wouldn't say hard on them. I think that they just kind of like were proud. Like it would be, for example, just like we're like doing this, just being proud in their own little way, just like everybody.
Oh, gotcha.
Because pride isn't a matter of money; it's a matter of like how you feel and how you treat others and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Why is that though? Just people's kind of nature. Or what do you think caused that difference between those who were humble and those who were a little more? Prideful?
Really was the people that would put God first and really like study the scriptures and read them. They were the ones that were more humble.
Okay. And
the ones that would not and they wouldn't put God first, they were the ones that were less. And it sounds might sound a little brutal to say, but that's really was the difference. And
interesting.
Even though there was a lot of people that they were wealthy and when they put God first, they were still really humble and they were willing to learn and they didn't put other people down really. So there's people that would be poor and they still like put other people down kind of and how they'd like act and treat each other.
Huh. Interesting.
So, yeah.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, if you have the gospel to lean back to and on, you're gonna probably find more peace in your life and more happiness and joy in the little things of life, and that just tends to make you more open-minded and kind towards people in general. I think it's hard to have that kind of mentality, reading and studying and focusing on, these loving Christ-like attributes, right? That's in essence what the gospel is. And then be rude to people and be a jerk, right? It doesn't really go hand in hand. So that makes sense. What was like you talked about having some tough companionships, and I think that's a common thing. Like we've had quite a few former missionaries on the show, and they all share. They had a lot of good moments. They had a lot of great companions. Learned how to communicate. But there was also times where it was like, man, this is a tough relationship. I had to kind of figure this out. And did you have any of those, or was overall pretty good, or what was?
I would say that yes, I definitely had a lot of times on my mission where it's a long time to be out there on your own kind of with another person. And there were a lot of times where it would stretch me. Mm-hmm. And I really had to be patient. And sometimes I probably should have been more patient than I was. But but really, what I would say is some of them were they got really like bad in some ways. And it was just really hard to, it's hard to communicate sometimes when, sometimes when you're out there and you're trying to serve others, it just can get hard. And especially with COVID, it was easy for people to kind of feel like lonely and even like, and I realize now if I had any advice or something that I could changing go back was that I wish I would have focused more on reading the scriptures like with my companion and making sure my companion was spiritually getting fed enough instead of focusing so much on going out and teaching other people.
Right.
Because I just feel like I wish I had more experiences of us reading the scriptures together and learning gospel truth together instead of just doing lesson preps and planning what to teach other people.
Yeah.
So I would say that I think that was something that I realized. I think I got a little more focused on just like going out and like sharing the gospel with like and teaching like so many other people that sometimes I feel like I should have focused more on my companions and helping them feel the spirit and stuff.
Yeah, that's one thing, and I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on this. In talking to different former missionaries, and then I served in Orlando for a little bit, and then I served a service mission, then I served a senior service mission, and then now I work for the church a little bit.
So I served in Jacksonville, which is
did you really?
right above Jacksonville, Florida.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Florida, the promised land. Okay, I don't know about that. If you like gators,
that's right.
That's where you go.
Hey, he's good. The gate is real good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yes, it's the place to be. I like the weather too. People don't like humidity, but I don't have a problem with it. So
nice.
But one thing that I've kind of noticed is sometimes in the proselyte mission, especially service mission, it's all about serving and helping people and all that. Proselyting, it's all about going out and teaching, right? That's kind of the main focus, which makes total sense. But we see a lot of missionaries now kind of either coming home early or struggling with mental health or struggling with whatever the issue may be, right? They've got a variety of different things that they may come home for, and sometimes I wonder, are we emphasizing enough when it comes to the mission for the missionaries? Are we emphasizing enough the need for the missionaries to, that kind of like what you're saying, where take time for you to grow closer to the Lord? Because I think there's a lot of focus on go out, teach, be selfless, help these non-members or these investigators or these friends. I don't know what they're calling them now. I think they're friends now. Help them find the gospel, right? And I think in a lot of ways that obviously grows yourself closer as you're helping these, people come closer to Christ. But I think it's important for missionaries to also hear, hey, you need to take time to grow that connection with the Savior, or you and your companion need to grow closer to the Savior too. And this is as much an experience, because if we were really trying to get people to join the church like rapidly, we wouldn't be saying out 18-year-olds who have this much life experience to go do it, right? We'd be saying like the apostles or something, right? We'd be saying like our best scholars out to the field. Not that it doesn't work, but if that was if we're all about the efficiency of of getting people to join the church, you'd probably send a different crowd. But so I think it's as much about the missionary growing as it is for those they teach. So have you seen that to be true? I've kind of heard that be a common phrase where some of the missionaries are like, yeah, I wish that was maybe a focus a little bit more, and that doesn't get talked about enough, but everyone's experience is different. So what was kind of your feel? Have you seen that? Or
Yeah. So I was really blessed. I had a great mission. I always had great mission leaders. That
helps a lot.
In Florida, my mission president said, we were all going to do personal study. It starts at 8:30, it ends at 9:30. Like every day, you have to do it every single day.
Yeah.
So he's a really good at emphasizing that we would start and do personal study. So that was really helpful for me. And that's why I mentioned more companionship study, because I always did personal study every day, for an hour like I was supposed to.
Yeah.
But just I wish I would have. We would always do companionship study too, but it was kind of like be later in the day, and something that wouldn't be as spiritual as my personal study. And I wish that I would have been able to really learn the gospel with my companion while we were doing that time, instead of just, okay, what are we going to teach this person when we do that? Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to say. But I would definitely say then later on, just in different experiences, that really there were times where, because I had 3 different mission leaders, like some of the other ones, they didn't put as big of an emphasis on that. Yeah. So it's kind of hard, like some of the missionaries, they'd only read like a half hour, like they wouldn't read or just different things. And I noticed that was really great that my first mission president really emphasized a lot on. But one of the things too I wanted to say is that I realized that a lot of my companions, they were like struggling with, it's kind of silly and I feel like kind of embarrassed about it, but a lot of my companions, they were struggling with a lot of mental health issues, and a lot of them were seeing the mission therapist and stuff. Right. And they didn't tell me any of that. They didn't tell me that they were, struggling with depression. And so I wasn't able to help them as much. Right. until after I like obviously it didn't help much after we weren't companions, but like as much as I could have when we were companions. But
Is it?
It's close. I'm just getting ready.
Oh, okay. Keep going.
I didn't know they were struggling, and they didn't tell me they were struggling. They were just talking to like the mission therapist, and they're talking to like the mission president, which was like great, and I'm really happy.
Right.
But I wish that I would have been
In the loop a little.
I would have become the kind of person that they would have felt comfortable talking to about
Right.
their issues, and that's one of the things that I would say if I could do anything, like studying my companion on becoming somebody that they could trust enough. Because obviously it's personal. If you don't want to share, that's fine. But at least helping them feel like comfortable with sharing these hard trials that they're going through,
Right.
so that I can be somebody to be a good Christ-like example to them.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's probably just the one thing. That's what I'm trying really hard right now to be better at, is just noticing more, other people.
Yeah, where they're coming from.
They're coming from, yeah, because you never know when somebody's really struggling. You never know when they're like doing just fine. So.
Right. That's one thing with like doing this program. It's been, I think it's really easy, and I mean, I feel like I see this a lot with like maybe some of the older generation. I think our generation does a little bit better job at this because there's so much information that's just like publicly out there now. But like the older generation, it seems sometimes like they get polarized really easy, meaning like they get kind of like, these are how I see the world and I'm set in these ways, and there's no, like, it's either one way or the other. I think sometimes, not 100%, right? But sometimes I think it's like we, like doing this show, I'll kind of like come in with an opinion of somebody and we'll sit down and we'll start talking. And as they start to share about like their past, their life, their, experiences, you start to realize, oh, okay, like the reason you think like this is because you've had this experience. And not that I necessarily agree with what they think or how they believe. But it makes a lot more sense because you're like, oh, okay, like you've had these experiences in your life that led you to this moment where you thought this, and that's why you behave like, this, right? And so it becomes eye-opening. You kind of, in some ways, it's like, and I think that's what you're pointing out too, is hopefully if you can be, kind and open and hear people out, you can almost be someone for them where it's like they don't see you as a judgment, like a person who will judge them, but rather you're like, I'm here to understand you, and I'm not necessarily gonna, because I think people get a little confused on that, right? There's a lot of opinions out there where, I think people think, oh, if I like connect with them, or if I like open up to them and I start kind of trying to like hear them out, I'm like agreeing with their belief that I don't believe in. Yeah. Right. I think like gay or lesbian, like gay rights or gay marriage, I think that's a common one, right? That gets brought up a lot. Where it's like, well, I don't know how to talk to them about it, because then it's like I'm almost supporting it, right? But it's like you don't have to. Like, you can have a conversation, you can discuss, you can hear them out, you can be there for them, and not necessarily be in support of their decisions. Yeah. So I think that's true. It's like it's a valuable thing to like learn, that there's a lot more gray space than just hard line, black and white. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Yeah. On my mission, we were teaching this guy, these two guys, and they were like married. Mm-hmm. In this little tiny, super small southern branch, is redneck country, man. But and then I told my mission president about it, and he's like, "That'll be a test of faith for the members of the Lord in the branch." But then they came every week for like 2 months, and like it was really great. And the members, the branch really just like opened their arms and like welcomed them in. So yeah, it's just interesting because a lot of people would have thought like, oh, it's a little redneck branch. They would have like kicked them out or like they would have been burned their car or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. But no, they just let them in and they loved them, and it was so I don't know. I just think that sometimes we need to, like you're saying, like be more understanding in some ways, but also you can be understanding without like supporting. Right. What the decision somebody's making. Right. So. Well, I think the phrase I heard was, sorry, we just bumped feet down there. Playing footsie. Yeah. I have a girlfriend. Yeah. I'm coming in. No, just kidding. Yeah, I think sometimes it's on both ends, right? Sometimes we assume too quickly that everyone's like out to get us and no one understands us, and we kind of victimize our situation. And then sometimes it's the reverse too, where like people aren't understanding. They think, oh, it has to be this way, otherwise, it won't work. And I think there's a lot of things too. We just got to put on the Savior's shoulders and Christ's shoulders and say, I don't understand exactly why this is happening or how this works, but I trust that you'll take care of it, and I'll just be here to be a good person, loving and caring for those in need and whatever I'm there for. But there was a phrase that I can't remember who told me it, but he pointed out we were talking about some issue that was going on, right? And his point was, hey, at the end of the day, we're all a bunch of sinners sitting in the pews, and everybody sins, and it doesn't really matter whether your sin was this or that or X, Y, Z. Like, it's still a sin, right? And sometimes we like to rank our sins like, well, this sin is way worse than this sin, but in reality, it's still sinning, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I think we got to remember that, because I think there's a lot of people who go, well, I'm not worthy of coming to church, or I'm not worthy to be around these people. And it's like, no, like, we're all not worthy to be around each other. Like, that's why we're here at church, to become better. And that was just eye-opening to me. But
I think that's a really good point, because it's like what you're saying, everybody sins, and because it's a sin, we can't overcome that on our own. And so no matter what it is, even if it's just a little lie or whatever, you're lying or you're like do something wrong, you accidentally steal something or whatever. Well, not accidentally, but you do steal something.
Stole something.
I accidentally. No, but no matter what it is.
I didn't mean to take that car. How these keys get in my hand? I don't know.
But no matter what it is, you need the atonement.
Yeah.
You need Jesus Christ to sacrifice to overcome whatever it is. So even if, it's a big, what you consider a big sin,
right,
you still need the atonement just as much as what you consider a little sin.
Right.
So, everybody needs that, Jesus, so.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, too. I think sometimes, right, we rank the consequences rather than the sins. It's like the sins are sins across the board. The consequence may be a little bit more severe depending on what you did and the situation, right? Like, if you rob a bank, your consequence probably you're going to go to prison, right? That's a little more severe, right? But nonetheless, it's still a bad action, and that's where I think we gotta. Because I think that's the other thing too. We get a lot of people get hung up in the church when, culturally, when the apostles or prophets say something over the pulpit, and they say what was that one about gay marriage? I keep going back to that one, but they talked about how premarital sex, whether you're gay or whether you're straight, is still the same thing. Because people, I think, were in their mind well, you're acting out as a gay person, that's even worse, right? Mm-hmm. And they were like, no, it's still the same. You're still sinning across the board. It's still sin. And I think people get kind of up and heated about it, going, wait. And then we start playing that game where it's what about this? What about, But in reality, I think that was the bigger point they're trying to hint at, is that we all make sins, and there is no one better sin than the other or one worse sin than the other. It's just a sin, and we're all striving to repent and come closer to our Savior.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that sometimes we miss sometimes as people and could do better at,
Yep. I think that exactly, you shouldn't judge people on their worst mistakes and their worst actions, exactly.
Right.
So,
because they have a lot to offer most of the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, are you ready to hear a little about my
I'm
my
ready.
Professional life?
Yes. Let's switch up gears a little bit.
That sounds good.
Because I know you work in construction. I know that. Mm-hmm. But then you've also started some business as well. And it sounds like you're pretty creative, entrepreneurial minded, and not everyone's. I think everyone has the capability to be creative and go and do something. But there's a lot of times that there's things that hold them back, right? Fears. So I'm curious to see what kind of drives you, what's gotten you to take that first plunge into going into uncharted territory, and tell me about it.
That sounds great. So really how you're describing it, it's something unknown. I can't tell you how much I've had to go out and do things that are uncomfortable for me. I have always been somebody that's been kind of more of a quieter person. At least if I know you, then I'm more loud. But normally, especially when I was in high school, I was very quiet. Maybe you remember, I was kind of a more quiet kid, right? Do you remember me not really talking much?
No, I do. Yeah, you definitely were a little more quiet, but
exactly, yeah.
But I knew you had like a fun, like loud side to you
yeah,
too. You know,
so it's when
you just got to get it out. You know,
but when around strangers, especially, I was really, really didn't like to talk.
Yeah,
and I felt really uncomfortable. But I just knew I needed to, get out of it. Kind of need to learn how to talk to strangers.
Right.
So in high school, I started to. The first kind of business that I started was I don't exactly remember how I thought of the idea, but I saw somebody was selling an old like water slide, those inflatable ones.
Yeah.
And I just I bought it from the guy for however much, and so then I started like renting it out. I put it on like OfferUp and all these different things, and like started renting them out. And I remember the first time I did it, I went like somebody texted me like they're like, hey, can I rent it for this day? And I didn't know them at all.
Yeah.
And I just went and like did it for them, and then I rented it out to them, and I made in a couple of rentals I made back the money I'd spent to buy the water slide, so I made my money back. But I really remember thinking like, wow, after I did it, I realized I just remember thinking I did something for this person that was helpful to them, and they were willing to pay me to go and do it. It's like, wow, like it's like I'm serving them and they're giving me money to do it. Like, well, this is win all around. So
you're providing value and you're getting, yeah.
I really remember being so nervous to just talk to the people, and just because I didn't know them, you like going to their house and like, hey, where do you want me to put this at? And are you gonna like, where's the money? And like all these different, all these things, like having these conversations with people that I didn't know. In some ways it made it easier, but in some ways it was also harder. Just getting out there. And then I've since sold the water slide and moved on to different stuff.
Yeah.
But
what got you to kind of push past those? Because there's a lot of times like people I think would get to that, oh, I'm not comfortable talking to this person. I'm scared of this. I'm not good at this. And they just go, oh, that's not my thing. So what got you to push past that? Because I think a lot of people get stuck there and they don't move past that. Was there anything you did to like, or was it just like out of pure, I had to get it done, I did it?
I've been reading a couple of different books, and one of the things that I've been reading about recently is it talks about when you're younger, you have a lot of exposure to different things, and before you really become skilled in something, you have a lot of exposure, and you have to kind of like choose what you really want to do to be great at it. Yeah. And I think what happened is I just really loved entrepreneurship so much, and I love business. I love helping people. I love making money. And so I love the ideas.
Wait, say that again. Put these glasses on and say that.
I just love making money. No, but I think it was just that it was something that I was passionate enough about that I was willing to go through some embarrassment and some uncomfortable situations because I just really loved it so much. And I'd never really done it, but I've realized that for me, I'm very much a thinker, and I think a lot, especially while I'm working in construction. I just think the whole day. Yeah. And I really have realized that I kind of, even though I hadn't done any businesses before, I had like a lemonade stand as a kid, but that didn't really do anything. It just all my neighbors they just had their own lemon trees, came and bought some lemons, and just because they were lemonade, because they just wanted to support me. Yeah. So that's why it was really a big thing when I went and did it for somebody else I didn't know at all, a complete stranger. Yeah. But I'd had the idea of what I was gonna do in my brain before I even did it, and that's so when I went and did it and put it in action, that's when it really started to change me. Right. Started to change how I would. And that's when I really had to make those big changes because I already knew what I wanted to do and I knew how I would feel when I did it. Yeah. So then when I actually made the leap and actually felt it, I felt so great. Right. And I was like, this is something that's worth it for me. Right. Well, it's powerful when you think something and then it comes to fruition and you see the success of it. And then it's it's almost addicting, You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sometimes it gets a little too addicting. I gotta stop thinking about making money so much. I gotta think about other stuff.
I know. You're like, well, that's hard, especially when. I almost feel bad for people who just kind of and if it's not your thing to go create something, that's fine too, because I don't want to put anyone on blast, but I think it's sad when people live their whole life and they always just went and did something for someone else, because there's something about creation, right? And going and figuring something out, creating it, seeing the benefits from what you did, and that emotion you feel when it's man, I did that. And then truthfully, when you, and I don't know about you, but for me at least, when I've started something, like my mind's always working on it. Like that's what you're saying when you're doing construction, you're just thinking about how can I improve this? How can I do this better? How could I, how can I make this work a little bit more? And so, but it's, sometimes it can be burdensome, like you're saying, we're like, man, I got to turn this switch off, But at the same time, it's like you don't ever want to either. I don't know if
it's something you love.
that.
Exactly. No, I do know.
Yeah.
It's just like you're saying, you just love it so much that you gotta tell yourself to turn it off, or you'll just bore all your family telling them about it, and then they get
your girlfriend's like, enough. So what's your current? Because you said you bought the water slide, you rented that out, kind of got a taste for the freedom of entrepreneurship.
Exactly.
And then what's now?
So I sold both I bought another water slide after that. Then I sold both of them before my mission.
Yeah.
But I'd also bought a dance floor. And I started renting that out to weddings and stuff. And now currently I operate a small company called Rent-A-Floor LLC.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it. It's been really good. I just kind of do it on the weekend. I go and set it up, and then I make like a couple $100, and then I take it down, and it's a good gig. But I've actually been looking to just kind of move on to like, I've realized that it is profitable for me to do. It's good money, but I've realized that I'm interested in, I think I liked the idea of making the company more than like just like running it and doing it every day.
Yeah.
Which is fine, because I think it's a great gig, and if anybody wants it, like I'm looking to sell it.
Okay.
Just because I've realized that I think I like starting something and creating it and making it go, and then I actually like running
move
it
on to the next thing.
Yeah, which has been interesting. I just realized that I like creating ideas more than like running it from the day to day. But I'm learning to run companies better from day to day right now. I'm trying to learn more skills on that.
Yeah.
And I've realized that I'd like to move on to like more bigger business adventures and different things, and
something that has a little more potential for growth.
Just because right now it's like I've been just busy because I'm like going to school. I'm going to MCC right now, Mason Community College.
Oh, cool. And
then I'm working like
what are you studying?
I'm studying business.
Okay.
Because I love business. There you go.
Yeah, go figure.
And then I have my girlfriend, and then I have work, and then I have like my
You're
church.
a busy boy.
My church.
You got a lot going on.
Yeah, and then I have like my company, and it's just been kind of like a lot to try and do everything.
Right.
So that's what it is I just looking for something else I can do.
Makes sense.
Time, so
what's kind of if you had to kind of this is what my next business venture I'd like to kind of explore, or because that's the other thing too. There is a bit of a thrill, like, oh, I'm a little like, it's almost scary to go after it, but I want to chase it, right? So what are you kind of looking into?
So currently I'm looking into real estate, looking into kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
I particularly in real estate, if you want to know kind of what I'm looking at, I've never been a big fan of speculation, or just kind of like you like buy something, then it goes in value, and then you sell it.
Right.
I'm a big fan of like you buy it and then like you make money off it, or you buy it and you like make it better and then you make money off it, or something.
You're looking at like the rental game, something like that.
Yeah, just different stuff. So I like that more than just like buying something and hoping it goes up in value and then selling it. Are
you thinking like more like long-term rentals, vacation rentals, apartment living? What's kind of the...
Yeah, I think about some long-term rentals. My dream is to like, one of my dreams is that I think it'd be cool to own a bunch of different like resorts, or like not resorts, just kind of like a bunch of different nice places to stay around the world where you could go and travel to. I think that'd be cool. Yeah. So
kind of some sort of that would be really cool.
Yeah.
If you nail that market, it's you can make a lot of money. It's powerful.
It's kind of what I've realized is that I don't love dance floors. And I don't love water slides, and I don't love like real estate. Really, like, I do like it, and real estate really motivates me a lot. But what I'm trying to say is that I realize that what I love is I love serving people, and I love creating ideas and I love taking something that is nothing and turning it into something that you can make money off it, and that you can share with other people. Yeah. And so I think what I really would like to do is I'd like to just get to the point where I can be in a position to have more influence and change more and create more bigger ventures and do different things and bring new items and markets to society. Sure. That'll really change people's daily lives. Yeah. So
I got a couple people you'd probably be interested in meeting, because they've had careers in almost like business consulting, where they go into businesses and help them grow and expand, but they're pretty interesting folks. So.
Yeah, I'd love to interview someone and talk to them.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to.
We'll get it. Sounds good.
Off camera, we'll work something out.
Sounds good.
But no, dude, that's awesome, because there is a lot. There's a need for it, and a lot of people don't. I don't think people realize the potential they have for like growth, because that's the one thing that interests me. Because I have a bit of a passion for coming with an idea, seeing it grow to fruition, and then you're right. I don't know if I want to do every single job in that company, right? But helping it, kind of nurturing it and getting it to grow. But I often think about like, and that's what I was kind of trying to get back to people who never do experience that. And by all means, it's not everyone's cup of tea, right? But I always think about like God, and if we're trying to grow closer to becoming like God, you know, what is this world? What is this plan that we're on? It's creation, right? He's a creator. He created the world. He created us. He created, you know, and he's helping us get to that next level. And so I just I can't remember who told me about that and kind of related it to that, but I've always thought that of like, that's true. There's kind of a natural thing about being human and wanting to create and grow and build, and so that's interesting that's kind of your passion. That's what you're going for.
Yeah. I really just loved it. There's a there's kind of like a saying, or not like a saying, it's just an idea, and it talks about how like entrepreneurship can really solve a lot of the world's problems, and I really believe that. I think that one of the things that I'd like to do one day too is to like go back to Guatemala and have some like businesses that could help like with some of their kind of like impoverished needs and stuff.
Right.
Just because like I think about it, like, well, if there's a lot more like farms, then like food would be cheaper. If there's a lot more, because everybody washes clothes by hands there. So
right.
I wash my clothes by hand there too sometimes. But some people have like washing machines, but it's not very common. Just thinking about like if they had like laundry mats here, if they had different stuff like that, which are just simple basic things we have here in America.
Right.
Just thinking like, hey, if somebody were to come to market here and do these things,
help it grow,
and it'd help other people because other people would have all these things, and then you can also make money off it. And it's like, hey, it's a win-win all around.
Yeah.
You love a quote by Stephen Covey, and talks about how you can have a win-win relationship where you are benefiting from the relationship and the other person's benefiting as well.
Mm-hmm. And
in society, we don't have to live where you're always benefiting at somebody else's expense, but you can both benefit mutually.
Right. I think that's from his was that 7 Habits?
Yeah, 7 Habits. Yeah. And so I just love that idea of that with business, because I've had times I've had people steal from me before. I've had people like I go and set up a rental for them, and then like okay, like they just never pay me, and then I'm like, do I show up at their house? Like, what I do?
Right.
And stuff, and that's very much not a win situation. It's very much they're living at my expense, because I'm not only losing my time, I'm paying the other guy to help me set up the dance, so I'm paying losing money in gas, I'm spending money. My dance was getting getting down used, so that's an expense there. And I just realized that I don't want to live a life like that. I don't want to just live at other people's expense, and I don't want to do business with people that live like that. And I just want to be able to do business where the customers, they'll be able to benefit. I'll be able to benefit. My partners will be able to benefit. Because if we're not all benefiting, then like you shouldn't do it. You know,
what's the point, right?
And that's what I love about having our current like situations, that we can all choose if we want to do something or not. We don't have to be forced to work or not. So
yeah. No, I think that's great. I mean, yeah, you have to be honest in business for sure. If you're not being honest, and if there's no integrity, it becomes dicey, right?
Yeah.
And I think most people understand that, but yeah, there's a lot of people who, they're seeking their own benefit, and that makes it hard.
Yeah, there's a quote: you can shear a goat 100 times, but you can only skin it once.
Right. So
it's like after that guy stole from me, I was just like, you skinned the goat, bro. I'm never gonna, because like the guy had like a little rental, like a little venue party in his backyard. So he's like, oh, like we can do, like, I'll get you a couple of rentals. You can come back. Yeah. And so like he could have kept having more business and making money off like renting it to like the dance floor at his wedding, but then he just like stole from me once. And I'm like, dude, you lost all this other future profit you could have had,
right, by
just making a quick some money.
Yeah. And
so it just was like interesting, that experience of thinking like I'll never do business with him ever again.
Yeah. Because
I'm not gonna be stolen from again by him. So
right, yeah. There's no point in doing dishonest business.
So
with people.
It's been just interesting learning. Just a lot of life experience. I feel like I've had experiences that I wouldn't have got anywhere else.
Yeah.
But there are so many great people out there that are honest, and there are so many great people that are.
Yeah.
They really are trustworthy. They do what is right. And I'd say one of the things that I've learned is that if you do something for somebody in a business situation where you're doing something more for them, you have to like always tell them, like, sometimes you like do something extra. You just like, hey, like listen, like normally I like charge money for this, but I'm gonna give it to you for free. You always have to tell them, because then they don't know. And that's one of the things that's been interesting is just learning how to communicate when you're giving them more value than what they're paying for. Or you're doing something extra for them. Then it's important to always tell them so that they know and they feel afterwards. It's just been interesting learning that. Because before I'd kind of just like do it, like, oh, it's like a nice thing to do. But like, listen, like, hey, I cleaned the dance floor for free for you this time or something that I normally charge people money for cleaning it. Or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And just letting them know, like, I'm doing these things. Or even just asking to pay, whatever it is. But just not letting that thing go to, like, waste where you're, like, doing it and you just feel like they're taking advantage of you without letting them know that you're doing it for them. And that's one of the things that's been, like, nice to learn is that I feel like I'm a very, like, charitable person willing to help people, but you'd, like, let me know or something that if it's a service thing before, you know, instead of just, like, tricking somebody. Yeah,
kind of find where your strengths are that help you and then find what the weaknesses are so you can kind of blend them together. Yeah, I think that's one of the best parts about anything with starting your own thing or entrepreneurship or taking a risk, right? It doesn't even have to be a business, but taking a risk is that you're going to learn the things that you can maybe improve upon, but you're going to grow regardless, right?
Yeah.
So that's powerful. I think that's really powerful. Well, it's been a blast having you on.
Dude, I'm really honored. I hope your podcast just keeps going up, bro.
Hey, that's the goal. I knew when we reconnect, I was like, I gotta get him on. It's gonna be a blast to talk to him, and it's been too long, so we'll have to do this again. But plug your places. Where can people find your businesses? Where can they connect with you? Yeah, plug it.
So it's just Rent a Floor. You can look at me up on Instagram, Facebook. You can look at me up on my website. It's just Rent a Floor LLC.
Well, check him out if you're getting married, like he might be. And I'm just kidding. Check it out. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. We'll have to get you back on.
Of course, I'd love to come back on.